You want answers, and you don't have any because that person isn't here anymore to talk to you. Why couldn't they just come to me? Why couldn't they just come and talk to me? What was the problem? Why couldn't they come and discuss it with me? Was it my fault? Was it my fault? It's always, was it my fault? All right, hello and welcome. In this episode, we're going to talk about dealing with loss. It can be a loss of a parent, son, spouse, and all the above. So how do we deal with it? You know, in this episode, I might take a little bit more time at how I dealt with loss. As a kid, I didn't take it very well. You know, I think as a teenager, we are confused when somebody passes away unexpectedly through a suicide or planned through a friend or a grandmother. There's two different ways to deal with it. You have the shock value, that we're in shock for probably 2 weeks or more, and then the memories start flooding in, and then I need to call, they're not there anymore. I need to text and they're not, yada yada yada. I need to go and visit them and they're not there anymore. And that, I think the shock goes from crying to anger to the depression. I went through all of them, and I let myself do it. I didn't want to do it, but I let myself do it. I remember when my uncle passed away. I was 14 years old. I was so confused. When I was 14 years old, I didn't know my uncle very well at that age. I was so confused. I didn't understand why he did it. And it was so abrupt, wasn't planned, and it was the word hard doesn't even describe what you feel. What is hard? A wall. You hit a wall, that's hard. What is a brick? Hard. Sheet metal is hard. Emotions are distraught, frustrated, beyond angry. You want answers, and you don't have any because that person isn't here anymore to talk to you. Why couldn't they just come to me? Why couldn't they just come and talk to me? What was the problem? Why couldn't they come and discuss it with me? Was it my fault? Was it my fault? It's always, was it my fault when a suicide happens. But here's the thing. They're probably struggling with their demons. Secretly and silently. That you don't know. On the outside, everything's fine. On the inside, they're ripped to shreds. And there's no answers. They can't find any answers from anybody. They can't cover it up anymore. They can't get it in games. They can't get it in watching movies. They can't get it in alcohol or taking drugs. There's nothing there that works anymore for a person going through that. There's nothing. And they get to the end of their rope, and they wonder what else is left. I don't want to feel this pain anymore. And that's what it is. They're going through a financial crisis, possibly. They're going through an identity crisis, possibly. And nobody knows what they're going through because they're quiet. It's mostly the ones who are quiet. They're going through this. And when I was that age of 14, it was such a shock to me. I didn't know what to do. And then all of a sudden, here comes the funeral, and we're all in the limousine and we're crying. I mean, tears, like a whale, just sobbing profusely, crying. Okay, why did this have to happen? He was sucked away, pulled away from us with no answers. We had absolutely no answers. What do you do with that? How do you live your life, the rest of your life, without any answers? Where is he eternally? I don't know. Maybe you've asked yourself those questions. Where is he eternally? Why couldn't they have just come to me? Because I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes they don't want to bother you with their problems. Sometimes they just want to figure it out on their own. And there's no answers to that. There's no answers to that. So I went through counseling. My mother took me to counseling over the years. And I didn't know how to express my feelings when I was, a teenager. I didn't know any of that stuff. So I lived my life growing up into my 20s that there was somebody missing in the family. And he was never going to be there again at holidays, Christmases. I was never going to hear his voice. I was never going to laugh with him ever again. And that was very, very hard for me to understand. I think I dealt with it more in my 20s than I did in my teens, because in your teens you're not even trying to figure yourself out. You have a goal. Go to school and graduate, come home and do the garbage, cut the grass. That's what a teenager does. You try to play and have a normal life. You get into your 20s and now you're an adult. Okay, I have this void in my heart. What do I do with it? So you try to figure things out. And then the void turns into hurt. And why did they have to do that? Why did you have to do that? Couldn't you get help somehow? Couldn't you get prayer? Couldn't somebody come to the rescue? But if it's a silent and they're putting on this facade and they're acting for you, you're never going to know. You would never ever know. And here's one of the things that the Lord is putting it on my heart to tell you right now. It's not your fault. None of this is your fault. You don't know if they opened a door somewhere. Okay, I'm talking spiritually. You don't know if they opened a door through games, and you know that games are evil. You know movies are evil. You know there's a lot of stuff on YouTube is evil. Open doors cause demonic activity to come right on through, and it can just torment you. It can torment them day and night. If they're in the wrong crowd with the wrong people doing the wrong thing, you've just opened a door, and it's the wrong door. And they can torment, and the torment may never, ever, ever stop, and they can be in their own personal hell right up here the whole time. Okay? We gotta close that door. If they come, so it's not your fault. They did it themselves. But they maybe they're too embarrassed to tell you what happened. Maybe it was too much for them to bear. Maybe they feel like that they were too much of a weight for you to carry anymore, and by leaving the planet, it would be better off for you, not knowing that they were going to leave behind pain and agony for the rest of your life, right? So moving on to my 30s, my mother had cancer. She was diagnosed with cancer, and then she went into remission for a while. She had it in her lymph nodes. And then we prayed, and then she was healed. For about 10 years, she went into remission. Remission is when there's a pause of growth of cancer in a person's body. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't show up on the x-rays or, CTA or whatever the, scanner is. So what happened was we would celebrate, and then the cancer came back. And then it just ate up her body. Within a matter of years, she was coughing all the time. Coughing. And she was on chemotherapy. It just ate her up. And in 2014, she passed away. So I had to deal with the loss of a mother. To deal with a loss of a parent before their time is very hard. Very, very, very difficult. There's no words to describe it. Every holiday, every birthday, every important event without her has been very, very difficult. Yes, there has been that little sting in the heart, but over the years, that sting got smaller and weaker and weaker and weaker. And the place at the table where they used to sit is bare, is open, it's vacant. And you do whatever it takes to cover it up, the pain. I did. I tried whatever it took. And I got myself into watching movies for 2 hours. Pop a movie in and I don't have to think about my life for 2 hours. I got addicted to migraine caffeine pills because it made me feel good. I would drink coffee 5, 6, 7 times a day until I developed an ulcer in my stomach, and that had to stop. So, how do we really handle death of a family member? Well, see, the Bible does talk about there is a season for grieving. Okay, you need to grieve, because if you don't let that out of you and you don't grieve in a healthy way, it's just going to destroy you on the inside. It's going to destroy you on the inside is what it's going to do. It's going to eat you up, and it's going to turn into depression. And I went through that. I was angry at God for a long time. And then finally I had to release her. I had to tell the Lord, just take this pain. I literally told the Lord, I'm sitting on the edge of my bed, feeling this pain, this anguish pain every day for years. And I pleaded with him to take it away. I told him, force it away from me. Not, I kept telling me to release it. I released it. So, I am a literal guy. I am a literal guy. When you say release it, what do? Pull my credit card out and hand it to you? Do I release the cash? Release it out of my heart. Okay, do I go to heart surgery and pull my heart out and hand it over to the doctor? What does it mean to release it over to God? It's like an emotional thing. Release it to him. Give it to him. And I had to do it every day, year after year after year. And I told the Lord, I said, would you please just force it away from me? Come into my room and just pull it away. And eventually it left. Eventually I was set free of the grief of the suicide, and I was set free of my mother's passing. And you're probably asking, how? Well, let me ask you this question. I know she's in heaven. She was a Christian. I know she was in heaven and she's having a glorious time. And I'm still stuck down here, and it's been 10 years. And has it been easy on birthdays? No, because I miss her voice. I see her in pictures, and I smile, and I remember what could have been, and I lay in bed and I remember what could have, what happened, what could have been. And sometimes you're in a hurry to hurry up and get through life. You're so busy that you just pass up the best moments and the times of your life because you're so in a hurry to go that you didn't take the time to just sit with them, talk to them, understand them, and have a relationship with them. How to deal with loss is different for every single person. One person can grieve for a year. One person is going to grieve for 10 years. But I'm going to tell you something. That person who passed away doesn't want you to sit around and cry over them, because you have a life to live. They brought you into this world, okay? Or you were friends with them. You have a gift that they want you to use. They use that gift that you have, okay? There's nothing more you can do. They're gone now, and you need to grieve. You absolutely need to let go and let the Holy Spirit touch you, okay? You need to be able to grieve that person's death. I didn't say it the way they went was right. Why didn't God heal them? And now I asked that question many times about my mom. Why didn't God heal my mom? But here's the thing, he did. Let me ask you this question. I think sometimes humans get it wrong down here with healing. Where there's the human healing where God will come and he'll remove the cancer, remove the organ, and he'll remove a heart, you'll get a new transplant. Okay, and then there's the spiritual where people will pray on you and God will heal you. You go to the doctor and the cancer is gone. That type of healing. And then there's the eternal healing that I think I missed. I missed this. And I remember the Lord telling me this in the car coming back from work one day. I remember him saying this, and I'm saying I'm being real with you, is he asked me in the car, would you be angry with me if your mother died? Now, I didn't respond to that, and it was in the middle of winter. I didn't respond to that right away. It took about probably a good 3 to 4 minutes. And I think I said to him, yes, I would, because I didn't want to lie to him, because he would know if I was lying or not. Now, let's be honest about something. If God came to you and said, okay, would you be angry if I took your child or your friend? Well, I think that's a human nature, right? Because we don't want them to die. We don't want them to leave. We don't want them to be permanently removed from our life, that we enjoy their company, the wisdom, their presence in the room, right? So you're asking the question, well, then if you knew, why didn't you pray for her healing? Guess what? I did. But you got to remember something, and the Lord's putting this on my heart real strong to tell you this. They have a will too. They have a will. You could pray for their healing all you want, but they also have a will. I believe in my heart, as my mother was starting to get ready to leave this world and go to spend his eternity with Jesus, I believe with my heart that my mother got to the point where she was done with the chemotherapy. She was done with the doctor. She was done with fear. She was done with everything. She knew she was going to heaven, and she wanted to be done. She wanted to go spend eternity with her mother and father that also were saved, and they went to heaven too. She was ready. She was done with the battle. I think we overlook that. We look at it sometimes from our point of view as I want you to be healed and set free and delivered and changed and all that stuff. But at the same time, God sees the future. Okay, he could heal her, but maybe there is a door open in the house through the television. Maybe there's a door open through the internet. Maybe there's a door open through unforgiveness, bitterness. Ever thought of that? Think about that for a second. Why did so-and-so not get healed if I prayed for them? Did they have any unforgiveness, any bitterness? God is not going to heal a person who has not forgiven somebody and who has bitterness towards them. They've wronged them years ago and they never forgave them for that. That's a very dangerous thing that you want to get into with that right now. I do not believe God will heal somebody if they have unforgiveness or anger towards somebody. That is like you're holding on to a grudge that you need to release. Once you forgive that person, then that door will close to the demonic, and I believe a healing will come. You got to think of that. The Lord really spoke to me many times about this. It was my mom's will at the end. If my mom willed to go home, God was going to answer her prayer. Even though the whole family was gathered around her to stay, we didn't know how much suffering she was going through. Okay, we didn't know what she was going to go through. So why would we allow her to stay on earth, to be healed temporarily, to possibly go through it again and again and again? It's almost like selfish to a point, right? But at the same time, God knew her future. God knew the future of your loved one that passed away. That something worse could possibly happen to that person. And maybe God was giving them the option, I could take you home now and you would have eternal healing. My mom has eternal healing with Jesus right now. Eternity in heaven. She is healed. She has a new body, a new everything in heaven. And that's how I deal with my loss. Is very, very soon we're going to go home and be with the King, Jesus. And he is going to give us a new body. And we are going to have joy and no more pain and suffering down here. That is how I heal. That is how I get through my loss. Because look around at this world. It is destroying itself. It is crying out. It has had enough with what the humans have done. We have wrecked this place up, man. We have come against God's will. We have sinned. We have done a lot of wrong things. Who are we? Who are we to be born into this world and say that we're the masters, we can do whatever we want? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We have a gift. It's called free will. We have free will. We were given free will with Adam and Eve, and they sinned. We sin every day. We live in sinful bodies, you and me, every day. And we have a responsibility to Him who gives us strength every day. I want to live my life for Him, not for me, but for Him. You get up every morning and you have a set schedule. Let me ask you a question and I'll get back to dealing with loss. When was the last time you asked the Lord what you want, what He wants you to do, instead of the opposite? Well, Lord, I want. I have my dreams and I have my visions and all that stuff, right? Okay. When was the last time you asked Him what He wants you to do for Him? Remember, at the end, you have to stand before Him and give an account of your whole life. What have you done for Him? Now, ending the dealing with loss subject is I pretty much just gave you the answer. Dealing with loss means that we are down here temporarily. We have a job to do. And I don't want to be selfish and greedy and stand before the Lord one day and say, okay, it was all about me because I was selfish and greedy and I didn't do a whole lot. No, I had to change my life around. See, dealing with loss, it can come in different directions. Okay. You can stay in grief all your life, or you can move on eventually when the time is right and make that person proud of what you did. In their memory, possibly. Okay. But make that person proud of you. Make that person proud. Wherever they are, make that person proud. Dealing with loss is very hard. And it's something that we don't want to deal with. Why would we? So that's something to ask yourself is have you grieved over your loss of wife, husband, mother, father, brother? Have you really grieved over that? Ask yourself, be honest with yourself, have you really done this? Or have you put a band-aid over it all these years? Have you masked it? I don't want to deal with it, you say. I don't want to deal with it. Let me tell you something. You're dealing with it every day. You just don't even know it. You're dealing with it every single day and you don't even know it. It comes out in your actions, how you treat other people, your sadness when you're by yourself. Every single day you deal with it and you don't even know it. But how are you dealing with it? Alcohol, sex, drugs, what? What's your escape? What are you escaping from? I don't want to deal with it, so I'm going to shove myself into my room. I'm going to put on my music and blast it until I don't have to hear it. And then eventually when it's all said and done, it comes back and it comes back and it comes back. So let's just deal with this in a positive way. Go through the grief and be done. That way you don't have to pop pills for depression and anxiety all the time, because that's what you're doing to get through it. Do you know that's what I had to do to get through it? I popped pills all the time to get through it. All the time. So, something to think about. And I hope this helped you, because I did pour my heart out there to tell you and to help you. And we'll get you on the next one. You take care. God bless. Bye-bye.